Kuriyadi, lecturer in English, KSK College. Here, I would like to talk about the very famous novel for fourth sem BCom students, Emma novel, written by Jane Austen. So, this novel about a youthful hubris and to romantic misunderstandings. So, it is the fictional novel taken by the village of Highbury at the surrounding estates, Hartfield, Randwells, and Donwell Abbey. So this involves the relationship among the people from a small number of families. It's the happening from the small number of families, and then the novel was first published in December 1815. So after in our other novels, Jane Austen explores concerns at difficult, gentle women living in Georgian Regency, England. So this novel, Emma, is comedy manners, and it's a depiction issues of the marriage, love, or sex, age, and social statuses. These are the main issues of the novel. And then you already know about the main characters. So already given us some chart also. So here the main characters: Emma Woodhouse, Mr. Woodhouse, and Mr. Knightley, Mr. Harriet, Frank Churchill, Mr. Watson, Mrs. Watson, and Taylor. Here Mr. Hilton, Robert Martin, and Jane Fairfax, Colonial Campbell, Mr. Dixon, and Mrs. Dixon. These are the main characters of the novel. So let's begin to the plot story. So main story, what about the story is? So here the main story to surrounding girls to a marriage, marriage or a love matchmaking. To the main character here, our protagonist character, to Emma Woodhouse. Emma Woodhouse is a main character. So here Emma Woodhouse's friend and former governess and Miss Taylor has just married Mr. Watson. So here first and beginning of the plot story, Emma Woodhouse to friend is a Taylor to married with Watson. So when she married, after she is alone, and the time she is something to likes matchmaking, and the time Emma takes a credit for their marriage and to decides that she likes matchmaking. To after returning home to Hartfield with her father, and Emma forges ahead with her new interest against the advice of her sister's brother-in-law to Mr. Knightley. So here Emma Woodhouse likes matchmaking, but at the time to Mr. Knightley, he was a very good friend of Emma Woodhouse. He's a very good man. He's a well advisor for the Emma Woodhouse, because he's always discuss or analysis about her, and always don't do that. What you did is not a well. So please don't like that ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾನೆ. And then but she doesn't accept what he told, and then she attempts to match her new friend Harriet Smith to Mr. Martin. Here the first Emma Woodhouse to match Harriet is a friend of Emma. She's a match with Mr. Hilton. Mr. Hilton is a local vicar or a clergyman in the village, and Emma pursues Harriet to refuse the marriage, a proposal from Robert Martin, to respectable and educated to well-spoken younger farmer. So the Harriet likes him. Here the Robert Martin was a very good and respectable man to his farmer in Mr. Knightley land. He proposed to Miss Harriet. She is a beautiful lady. So he proposed to Miss Robert proposed to Harriet, but Emma Woodhouse to pursued to Harriet to refuse. ಅವನ್ನ ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡ, ಅವನ ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ನ ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಲವ್ ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ತಿರಸ್ಕರಿಸುವಂತೆ ಎಮಾ ವುಡ್ಹೌಸ್ ಹರಿಯಟ್ಗೆ ಬಲವಂತವಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ತಿರಸ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಳು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಳೆ, ಆ ರಾಬರ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಿನ್ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೀತಿಯನ್ನ ತಿರಸ್ಕರಿಸ್ತಾಳೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲಿ ಶಿ ಲೈಕ್ಸ್ ಹಿಮ್, ರಾಬರ್ಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಟಿನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಾಳೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾಹಿತಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ಫರ್ದರ್ ಮೋರ್, Mr. Hilton, a social climber, mistakenly believes Emma in love with him to propose to her. So, on the time, one day, they met a party. On the time, Harriet, she doesn't come on that party. On the time, Mr. Hilton to propose to Emma, on the time, her proposed to Emma to refuse, Emma to not accept to the love ಹಿಲ್ಟನ್. ಸೊ ಅವನ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯನ್ನು ಒಪ್ಪೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗ್ತಾಳೆ ಅವನು ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವಳೀಗ ಹಿಲ್ಟನ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಹೆರಿಯಟ್ ಮತ್ತು ಹಿಲ್ಟನ್ ಒಂದ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಇವನು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಮ್ಮಾಗ ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಬೇಜಾರು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಬಿಲೀವ್ಡ್ ಅಟ್ so here when Emma reveals she believed to attach to Harriet, it is outraged and considering Harriet social inferior. So after Emma rejects Mr. Hilton and goes to Bath and returns to pretentious and novi rich wife, and Mr. Knightley expected he would do. So already told about the Knightley. Knightley is always to advise to Mr. Emma outdoors, but she not accepted to what he told. But here Harriet is considering Harriet a social inferior. On the time after Emma rejects to him Mr. Hilton. So Mr. Hilton ನ ಅವಳು ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, ಎಮ್ಮ ರಿಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಅವನು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ, ಬಾತ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂತ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ. ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ ರಿಚ್ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಮಹಿಳೆಯನ್ನ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವನು ಬರ್ತಾನೆ. ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಅವನಿಗೆ ನೈಟ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಮುಂಜಾಗ್ರತೆ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು, ಅವನ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. Harriet is heartbroken and Emma feels ashamed about misleading her. So here ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಹಿಲ್ಟನ್ ಆ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಿ ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ, ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಮ್ಮಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಿರಿಯಟ್ ನ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಹೆಂಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಇಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಬ್ರೋಕನ್. ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಬೇಜಾರು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಎಮ್ಮ, ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಮಿಸ್ಲೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ನ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವಂತ ಭಾವನೆ ಅವಳಲ್ಲಿ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ಎಮ್ಮ ಫೀಲ್ಸ್ ಅಶೇಮ್ಡ್ ಟು ಅಬೌಟ್ ಹರ್, ಅವಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೇ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮಿಸ್ಲೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ನಲ್ಲ ಅವಳನ್ನ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇವಳಿಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂಥರ ತಾಪ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಗಿನಿಂಗ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ ಚರ್ಚಿಲ್ is a son of Mr. Watson. So here the Frank Churchill Watson's sons so arrivals for 2 weeks visit to makes many friends. So he arrives to his Watson's son. So Watson, he already married before, but after he married Taylor, after she became a Mrs. Watson, and then Frank was adopted by his wealthy and domineering aunt and has had a few opportunities to visit her before. And Mr. Knightley tells Emma that while Frank's intelligent and engaging, so here Frank Churchill is a son of Mr. Watson. He is raised by his aunt and uncle when his mother dead. And then he is a well-known, he is a very intelligent man. He is a rich man, and then engaged with some Jane Fairfax. He is engaged with secretly engaged with Jane Fairfax. And then on the time, the same situation, Jane Fairfax also to arrives or visit to village. She's her aunt home, Mrs. Bates, and grandmother Miss Bates for few months, and before starting a governess position due to her family's financial situations. So Jane Fairfax, she is also arrives. She to take a position of governess. A family's financial situation ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡಿಫಿಕಲ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಒಂದು ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಒಂದು ಆಡಳಿತವನ್ನ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಚುಕ್ಕಾಣಿಯನ್ನ ಇವರು ಇಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಶಿ ಇಸ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಏಜ್ ಆಸ್ ಎಮ್ಮಾ and she received excellent education by her father's friend Colonel Campbell. So here to note this, so Jane Fairfax is also very beautiful girl and she is very excellent, talented girl, and then she is well educated. She is same equal to Emma. She is competent with Emma to every way. And then is education by her father's friend Colonel Campbell. Colonel Campbell is a Jane Fairfax father friend. He is given a good education to Jane Fairfax. And Emma has remained to somewhat aloof with her because she envies Jane's talent and annoyed by everyone, including Mr. Watson and Mr. Knightley, to praising her. So she is well known in every way. So on that time, so everyone to praise her, to everyone to respect her. Even also Mr. Knightley, Mr. Watson also respect her, praise her. But Emma, she doesn't like her because ಅವಳ ಒಂದು ಉತ್ತಂಗತ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವಳ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವಳ ಒಂದು ಬ್ಯೂಟಿನೆಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಸಹಿಸೋಕ್ಕಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದೋಸ್ ಆರ್ ಬೋತ್ ಆರ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್. ಅಲ್ಲಿಬ್ರು ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅಂಡ್ ದೆನ್ ಟು ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ protagonizing to Mr. Elton takes a Jane under her wing and announce that she will find her the ideal governess to post before it is wanted. To Emma feels some sympathies for Jane's predicament. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಟ್ಸ್ Elton takes a Jane under the wing and announce that I will find a ideal governess before the is wanted. Emma feels some of the sympathy. So ಅವಳ ಒಂದು ಮುಂಜಾಗ್ರತವಾಗಿ ಅವಳ ಗವರ್ನೆನ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗಿರೋದು ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಆಗಿರೋದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇವಳು ಅವಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂಥರ ಸಿಂಪತಿಯನ್ನ ಹೊಂದುತ್ತಾಳೆ ಎಮ್ಮ. After Emma decides to Jane and Mr. Dixon to Colonel Campbell's new son-in-law are mutually to attracted, and is the reason she arrived earlier than expected. So here Emma she thought that Jane Fairfax and Dixon to something have to connection, something have the affection is there. She suspected. So ಅವಳೊಂದೇನೋ ಅನುಮಾನ ಪಡ್ತಾಳೆ, ಇವ್ರಿಗೂ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇರ್ಬೋದೇನೋ, ಅಥವಾ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೆಲ್ ನ ಒಂದು ಇವರಿಗೂ ಅಳಿಯನಿಗೂ ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜೇನ್ ಫೇರ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇರಬಹುದೇನೋ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಅನುಮಾನವನ್ನ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಪಡಿಸ್ತಾಳೆ. And then she confides in this Frank and who met Jane and the Campbells of vacation spot a year earlier. So she confides this Frank. So Frank ಕೂಡ ಅದೇ ಒಂದು ಮಾತನ್ನ ಎಮ್ಮ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಇವ್ರಿಗೂ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಇರಬಹುದೇನೋ ಅಂತ ಭಾವನೆ ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಮೂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. But after who met Jane and the Campbells to vacation spot here earlier, and he apparently agrees with Emma, and suspicions are further fueled when a piano sent by the anonymous benefactor to arrive for Jane. To Emma feels herself falling in love with Frank. Before the Emma feels about fall in love with Frank, but after the next meeting she know that I don't fall in love with Frank. And then ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಅದು ನಾನು ಬಿದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಅವಳಿಗೆ ನಾನು ಫ್ರಾಂಕ್ ಜೊತೆ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿದ್ದಿದ್ದೀನ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಎರಡನೇ ಭೇಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಅವನ ಜೊತೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಪ್ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವಂತ ಭಾವನೆ ಅವಳಲ್ಲಿ ಉಂಟಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಕ್ಲಾರಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. And then Frank arrives late to gather a Donwell in June, while Jane departs early to next day at Box Hill and local Saint Spot. And while Frank and Emma are bantering to Emma, and just a thoughtful insult to Miss Bates. So ಒಂದು ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿಸ್ ಬೇಟ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಎಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಳೆ, ಅವಮಾನವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾಳೆ. ಅವಳಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಅವಮಾನವನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾಳೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. So when Mr. Knightley scolds Emma for insulting Miss Bates, she ashamed, and the next day to visit Miss Bates to atone for her bad behavior, to impressing for Knightley. So ತನ್ನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತನಗೆ ಅರಿವಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು when Mr. Knightley to scold her, to ಅವಳನ್ನ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬೈತಾನೆ, ಅವಳ ಅವಮಾನ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಅವಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವಳನ್ನ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಳೆ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅನ್ನ, ತನ್ನ ಬ್ಯಾಡ್ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವಳು ಏನ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ, ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ತಾಳೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಇಂಪ್ರೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ನೈಟ್ಲಿ, and then on the time is very impressing about Emma. And then on the visit, Emma learns that Jane accepted a governess position from the Mr. Elton's friend. And then Jane becomes ill and refuses to see Emma and receive her gift. So here the Jane Fairfax becomes a hill and refers to Emma's gifts. And then meanwhile the Frank has been visiting aunt who dies soon after his arrival. So here the Frank to rise by when already told he is raised by his aunt, and he visit to her aunt home and after to before she dies. And then pause.
Start.
Now he and Jane reveal Watson, and here the Frank and with Jane to secretly engaged, and then in Ottoman, but Frank knew his aunt and would disapprove to match. So here the Frank with affection with secret engaged with Jane Fairfax, but the Frank's aunts not accept or not approval for that affection, and then maintaining the secrecy to strain to conscious Jane and caused a couple of quarrel to Jane ending the engagement. The Frank's easy going to uncle readily to gives his blessing to match. The engagement is made public and leaving Emma charging to discover that she had been wrong. Here the Emma believes Frank's engagement will devastate Harriet, and but instead Harriet says she loves Mr. Knightley, and though she knows a match too unequal to Emma's encouragement and Mrs. Knightley's kindness have given her hope. Here the three matchmakings or marriages happened. So here Miss Emma to like or love Mrs. Knightley, and then Emma is started and realized that she is in love with Mr. Knightley, and Mr. Knightley returns to console Emma for Frank Jane's engagement, thinking her heart broken. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ first Emma with Knightley, and then Jane with Frank Churchill, and then Harriet with Robert. So again the Robert Martin proposes to Harriet. After the second proposal, she is accepted the Robert love, and here Jane Fairfax to engage with Frank Churchill, and Emma to loves with Knightley. The finally the three marriages happen. So it's a very ending is successful to outcome to the three marriages, and finally Harriet to accept the second proposal to Robert Martin. They are the first couple of marry also, and Jane and Emma to reconcile. The Frank and Jane visit the Westons, and once a morning to period of Frank's aunt hence and will marry. And before the end of November, Emma and Mrs. Knightley are married with perfect happiness couples. So here finally the Emma and Knightley, Mrs. Knightley to happy to ending this novel. The both are married.